What if the biggest cartel operation in America wasn't hiding in the desert, but at the same truck stop you've used for coffee and a bathroom break? This starts with one routine seizure in Texas. Paperwork says electronics, seals look fine, the trailer looks boring. Then inspectors open it and find hundreds of kilograms of methamphetamine and fentanyl. That single moment didn't just catch one driver. It exposed a relay-style system spread across 47 truck stops in 18 states, built to keep every person in the dark. So how did it stay invisible for years? Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. A load can look perfect on paper and still be a rolling drug vault. That's the trick. Most people think smuggling looks messy, like someone panicking and cutting corners. This kind of run is the opposite. It looks boring on purpose because boring is what gets waved through. It starts at a Texas truck stop where everything feels normal. Diesel pumps clicking, drivers shuffling in for hot food, someone grabbing a shower coat at the counter, receipts printing out and getting folded into wallets. A semi sits there like every other semi. No flashy paint, no weird parking, no crew hovering around it. Just a truck, a trailer, and a driver doing what looks like another long day. The paperwork said electronics. That's the kind of cargo that doesn't raise eyebrows. It fits the lanes, it fits the schedules, and it fits the idea that a driver's trying to get paid and move on. The cargo seals looked intact too, the kind of detail that makes an officer think, okay, this hasn't been tampered with. Add in a driver who doesn't look like a cartoon villain, and you get a situation where suspicion drops fast. The man arrested was Robert Chen, described as an unremarkable long-haul driver with no significant criminal record. That matters because it makes the whole thing harder to spot. Then inspectors decide to look anyway. They're expecting a quick check, a glance at the load, a glance at the paperwork, maybe a few questions, then back to work. But once they open the trailer, something doesn't line up with what's supposed to be there. The first red flag isn't always a bag of drugs sitting in plain view. It can be the way the freight is stacked, what's accessible, what's oddly blocked off, the kind of detail that tells you this load was built with a secret in mind. Underneath legitimate freight, officers find hundreds of kilograms of methamphetamine and fentanyl. Not a small stash, not something a single person hides for personal use and pretends it was a bad decision. This is packaged for distribution, the kind of quantity that can feed multiple cities. And the mix matters. Meth moves in bulk and stays profitable. Fentanyl moves in tiny amounts and turns deadly fast. Put them together in the same trailer and you're looking at a supply plan, not a random hustle. So how did the paperwork look clean and the seals look untouched? Because that's the point of the method. You don't need to break a seal if the load gets built that way from the start, sealed and documented like a normal shipment. The lie isn't in a sloppy fake label. The lie is in a full set of normal details that all agree with each other, right up until the door swings open. At that moment, the conversation shifts. Prosecutors start talking about upgrading charges because a haul like this doesn't feel like a one-time gamble. It looks like a route, a schedule, a repeatable process. And the driver's arrest becomes less important than what the load represents. Chen's own account points to something organized. Regular routes, planned handoffs, and pressure from recruiters when he hesitated. That's where the story gets uncomfortable, because I didn't know what was in the trailer can be real. A driver can get hired for a short leg, given a pickup time and a drop location, and never see who loaded the freight or who will unload it. If he asks too many questions, the job goes away. If he backs out after saying yes, the pressure starts. And now that trailer isn't the jackpot, it's the key. Investigators start pulling phones, combing through numbers, tracing financial transfers, and matching shipping logs to real-world movement. They aren't just building a case on one person. They're looking for patterns tied to places, routines, and repeat stops. Because if the trailer was the front door, the next clue was where it parked and who it called. The smartest part of the operation was not speed. It was how the whole story got chopped into little pieces, so no single person could explain what they were part of, even if they wanted to. That's the part that makes a routine stop feel pointless, because the deeper plan stays intact. Here's where things got really interesting. Investigators started seeing the same kind of handoff again and again, and it looked like a boring logistics trick. One shipment didn't ride with one driver from start to finish. It moved in short legs like a relay race, swapped at normal truck stops right off major interstates. The places were the kind you've been to 100 times. Fuel lanes, fast food, showers, and a parking lot full of trucks that all look the same after midnight. Segmentation is a simple idea, and that's why it works. A driver gets a pickup time, a meet point, and a drop location. He's told which spot to park in, how long to wait, and what trailer number to look for. Then he leaves. No warehouse, no boss, no sit-down meeting where someone explains the full route. And if the job pays a little better than normal, a lot of people don't ask questions because they're trying to make rent, keep the truck running, or dig out of a hole. This is also why normal policing struggles here. A traffic stop can catch a driver with a loaded trailer, but that doesn't give you the chain. You might get a name, a phone, maybe a story that sounds practiced. But even a real confession can be worthless if the person only knows their tiny piece. The relay design turns arrests into dead ends. It creates just enough distance that the next link can dump the phone, swap the trailer, and keep moving. Then federal investigators mapped the stops themselves, and the size of it came into focus. They identified a network of 47 truck stops operating across 18 states, positioned along major interstate highways like I-10 and I-80. These weren't hidden compounds. They were legitimate, registered businesses that sold fuel, food, and showers to regular drivers all day long. And that's the payoff. One seizure in Texas didn't expose a lone run. It exposed a system with repeat locations, repeat timing, and a footprint big enough to move product at scale while blending into everyday freight. Transfers could look clean in person too. A trailer pulls in, parks, and sits like any other truck on a break. Another truck comes through later, backs into a spot, and leaves with a different trailer. Nobody runs. Nobody meets in the open. Paperwork can reset at each handoff, so the next driver carries documents that match his short leg. Even basic checks won't always catch it, because the load still looks like freight, and the stop still looks like commerce. And the human part gets ugly fast. Some drivers got recruited when money was tight. Others got pulled in with a promise and then kept there with pressure. Debt can do it. Threats can do it. Family leverage can do it. Once someone says yes even once, they can get treated like they signed a contract they can't quit. That's how you end up with people driving scared, trying to act normal in a place built for normal. Communications stayed clean too. Burner phones, encrypted apps, short instructions, and messages that never explain the bigger plan. Be there at 2:10. Park by the last row. Swap and go. No long calls, no speeches. Nothing that sounds like a conspiracy until you stack the pieces side by side. The relay system didn't just move drugs. It moved risk away from leadership because every arrest looked small until agents connected the same stops, showing up over and over. And that's when another detail started to stand out. The cartel didn't rely on shady warehouses. It leaned on tax-paying businesses that already had the keys. Here's where things got really interesting. The real power sat behind the counter. Managers, bookkeepers, and contractors could nudge a schedule, stall a driver, or fix a payment, while the registers kept ringing and the diesel kept flowing. That control layer mattered because it looked like normal work. A pickup gets delayed for maintenance. A driver gets moved to a different row for space. If heat feels high, a route shifts with one quiet call. Investigators claim some stops moved huge volume weekly, like a freight company with backups. So authorities hit everywhere at once. Thousands of agents swept dozens of sites, grabbed devices and records, and pulled coordinators in. The fallout tied to 9,400 arrests, and lawmakers started asking who really controls the highway. What other everyday systems could work like this? The next version won't match, but it'll rhyme.